Brain drain Bettys and contraceptive Calvins. Field test your fecundity. Ask Pete Seeger if we'll all be a double and a double and a double in 35 years. And remember, I like my oil like I like my death rate measurements. Crude.
Get ready for the rhythm method. It's time to talk Tull to me.
Oh, jeez. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Omen Thomasade.
And I am Nick McGill.
For better or worse, we are the Feckless Momes.
And this, my complimentary prophylaxis, is Talk Tull to Me.
A family planning session at the post-neonatal prog rock clinic, in which National Growth Nick and Old Omen will remind each and every totally fertile track put out by reproductive rock band Jethro Tull that if there's no flute glove, there's no flute love. We will ask Scott Hammond to fill out a saucy statistical survey, delve with David Goodyear into the dangerous realities of double dependency, and we will explain gently to Florian Opal that yes, family is family, but there's only so much room in the lifeboat. And if we can wrap it before we tap it, put the little sailor in his rain jacket, sheath the meat dagger, and cuff our carrots, we may just get to play in the deep end with the Jimmy Hat Jongleur, the piccoloist of the pelvic poncho, the banana tarp who fishes carp, the Robin Hood of the forest, the one-fingered glove who strikes from above, the pickle mitten with whom we're smitten, Ian, let me slip into something a little less comfortable, Anderson.
Euphemisms for naughty things really are quite hilarious, especially when they rhyme.
And useful.
And useful. And
Yeah.
useful.
Yeah. Nick.
Ben.
Here we are. We've got a rare double-headed episode
That we do.
for the listening ear, for both ears.
Both, one for each ear.
God gave us 2 ears so we could listen to the Momes talk tell to us about 2 songs at the same time.
That's it. That's it. That is, science has proven that.
And it's in the Bible.
Yes, it is in the Bible, yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you a joke, but it fits perfectly here.
How fortuitous.
It really does, though.
Thank goodness. What's the joke?
Why do sperm like commas and apostrophes?
Why?
Because they interrupt periods and lead to contractions.
Oh.
Isn't that a good one? No?
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah, did you come up with that?
No, I heard it. No, I'm not that clever.
If you had come up with it, I think I would have liked it more.
Yeah, I'm sorry I've let you down.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I have something else, though. I had an epiphany the other day while editing the episode of New Blood, Old Veins,
I had an apostrophe.
and it led to a contraction.
Okay, what was your epiphany about Old Blood, New Veins?
So Old Blood, New Veins, we were talking about, like, the next step in the spreading of man, basically, was Old Blood, New Veins, or New Blood, Old Veins. The new blood is the new generation, and the old veins are these tracks, these roads that have been taken for generations and generations and generations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I really like that, Nick. That is an epiphany.
I gasped out loud when I came up with that while I was listening to us not talk about that. I was like, oh,
right.
It makes so much sense now.
I have some of those realizations after the fact too when listening back to the podcast.
Yeah.
I also think that there's, for so much of human history, populations were kind of siloed and were able to develop genetic specificity. Mm-hmm. And in this new era of globalization, there's a lot of new genetic material in genetic pools that were perhaps stagnant or going kind of stable.
Yeah, I like that too. That's really good.
I like yours a lot. The veins are the train tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
Built by Brunel and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And we're all little blood cells.
Yeah, that's what we are.
Carrying oxygen.
Yeah. We're the new blood doing the job that our ancestor blood has done for eons.
Except with more microplastics.
Full, just chock full.
A hemogoblin.
My favorite Spider-Man villain is the Hemogoblin.
Today, Nick, what is
Oh
it
my gosh.
that we have the pleasure of talking about? We mentioned 2 songs. What are they?
So we are first going to talk about In for a Pound, because it is literally 36 seconds. So we'll jump into that. We'll do music and lyrics for that right quick, and then go right into The Browning of the Green, which is just over 4 minutes.
And for those following along in our hymnals, those are chapters 12 and 13 off of the album. And this is the beginning of part 3, Revelations, the final part, the final book of the album.
That's right. This is the first half, actually, because there are 4 tracks in Revelations.
Excellent.
Excellent indeed.
Well, without further ado, why don't we drop our pound coin into the listening machine of our brains?
Yep. It works.
If you're listening at home, please do not insert coins into any orifice of yourself or others.
As we learned from, was it Brunel? Got a coin stuck in a penny caught in his nose or something, and they had to turn
they
him
had to
upside
shake him
down and
upside
shake
down?
it out.
Was it Brunel?
I think
Yeah,
it was Brunel, yeah.
Yeah, and after that he was like, oh my god.
Trains.
Passageways have to be 25% larger than the things they're trying to carry. All right, let's have a listen to In for a Pound.
Started so I'll finish, I'm here so I'll stay. Dally with a little lady met along the way.
Nick, that was a little sweet treat.
What a ditty. What a sweet little Fantasyland fairy tale ditty that was.
I really appreciate the moments in this album where we get a little breathing space.
Yeah. Regardless of the content of the song, there is an opportunity for your ears to step back, take that breath before it gets swept in again.
Yes. This is, as no doubt you noticed, and all of our listeners noticed, the same melody, the same tune as Heavy Metals.
That's right.
I am the smith and I feed my melt pot, fashion cube and supercum beam beam.
I am the smith, I feed my melt pot, fashion carbon steely blades.
I meant to say carbon, not Cuban.
Cuban zirconia.
Cuban zirconium. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a theme that doom 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 that we've had a couple of times in the album, no?
I think so. I think we're being so close to the end, we're starting to revisit our previous themes. We're going to see that twice in Browning of the Green as well.
Great. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Musically, we pretty much just have the acoustic guitar, presumably played by one Mr. Ian Anderson.
I think it's on the higher side. It's not high enough to be a Mando, but it's pretty high, so it's probably his little guitar, his little concert guitar.
Maybe capoed up.
Also that, yeah.
We have his typical picking style, which kind of gives us both the melody and the chord structure at the same time. Very, very skillfully done.
Yep. And I think beneath that is, in place of, in Heavy Metals, we had the vocals of hum. We have I believe it's a second acoustic doing that part in this one.
I thought there maybe were 2 acoustics, and I think that it's probably Ian both times.
Oh, you think so?
I would assume so, yeah. I assumed this to me feels very much like an all Ian special.
Just one of those, I had this idea. It's 36 seconds. I played everything.
Everyone vacate the studio. I have filed a restraining order against all of you. You are not allowed within 100 feet of the studio for the next 30 minutes.
And you can tell it's an Ian joint because the only percussion is a
the
tambourine.
Exactly.
Yep, it's got his fingerprints all over it.
Yes. You mean the song?
And the tambourine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Really fun, really easy to listen to, delightful tune. What is it about?
It takes the sweet, silly, folky sound and makes it slightly tongue-in-cheek, I think, of this idea of getting a lady pregnant, basically, right? I mean, isn't that... I've started, so I'll finish. I'm here, so I'll stay.
Wow. Interesting.
And then dealing with the consequences of it.
That is something that I had not thought of.
Wow, really?
I never think about sex, Nick.
No, never. What is it again?
Never. But I do know the phrase "in for a penny, in for a pound."
Right, yes.
That's sort of the... I guess you could say that is an example of the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah. It's the motto of the sunk cost fallacy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've spent a penny on it, so I may as well spend a pound. I may as well spend 100 times what I've already spent on it.
Yeah.
Because I've already invested a penny.
Right. And that's the physical, literal definition of it. But there's also the not theoretical. There's also the metaphorical version of that where I've already put in this much effort, I will put in more. I've already decided to do this, I might as well go all the way.
Right. You start, for instance, a project and you get it, a couple of weeks in and you realize it's going to take you 6 years and you're like, well, too late now.
We finished one album. We gotta stick with it.
Started.
Yeah. And your best friend has really bad OCD, so you're stuck with it for a couple years.
It's actually easier just to do the whole thing rather than try to talk about it. Just an example, who knows?
Off the top
Pulled
of my
that from
head.
nowhere. I do think that fits really nicely, though, with the idea that you have about this song.
Yeah, exactly.
In for a penny, in for a pound. I mean, that's a bit of a naughty. In that context,
Yeah.
It could be quite naughty.
The verb to pound.
Also, penny.
Yeah. Oh, also, yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Depositing something little and it grows into something big.
Mm-hmm.
Very much the pregnancy vibe.
Yeah.
Barley grain sprouting spilled upon the ground.
Barley grain sprouting spilled upon the ground.
That's quite interesting. If we look at that through as just an image, barley grain is what you make whiskey out of.
Yes, I think so.
And you do actually have to sprout it, I believe, that's part of the whiskey making process.
Okay.
But also, if you drop barley on the ground and it gets exposed to moisture, it could sprout.
Right, and start trying to grow, yeah.
So it's an extremely fecund...
grain, a cereal.
Yes, and the image is very,
Oh, yes.
very, very, very fertile.
Yeah, it is. It is. And, I mean, it smacks of onanism, but it also
Right.
smacks of the baby is
Right.
the grown result. And the birth of the baby, too, as well. The splashing onto the ground.
Ew.
The breaking of the waters.
This is a much more graphic song than I was prepared for.
I don't know what Ian was thinking.
Dally with a little lady met along the way, in for a penny through the turnstile gate, searching for the mother lode before it's too late.
Dally with a little lady met along the way, in for a penny through the turnstile gate, searching for the mother lode before it's too late.
Wow. I can't believe I didn't clock this.
What did you think it was about?
I thought it was, about love and the movement of humanity through different phases of existence.
Oh, so you got your basis for all the sexiness in the opener was from the Browning of the Green.
Yeah.
Wow.
Population.
Yeah, the Browning of the Green is less sexy. It's more like...
It's a little Wondering Again.
Yeah.
Wondering Again remix.
It's more statement of fact, educational than
agitprop.
the naughtiness of it all.
Right. But they tie in really well together. I'm glad that we're talking about them in conjunction, because I think that they do. One leads to the other. And actually, it's really interesting. It's sort of like, if we take them two together, if we say the Browning of the Green is about population growth and the negative impacts of that. It's interesting that he's putting these two songs up against each other. One of them is like, no, it's just a bit of sex.
Yeah, but that's the point. It's just a little bit of sex, but then that's what it leads to is the baby, the fecundity of the barley, and then the Browning of the Green. Because if this person thinks it's just a little sex, and this person thinks it's just a little sex, and this person, and so on and so on and so on, exponentially, that is why we have grown.
Interesting. I've started, so I'll finish. I'm here, so I'll stay.
I've started, so I'll finish. I'm here, so I'll stay.
Yeah. Ah, interesting.
And then I'm the Mad Hatter getting fatter in for a pound.
I'm the Mad Hatter getting fatter in for a pound.
What's that? Or he's saying I'm the Mad Hatter. She's getting fatter, i.e. growing in pregnancy in for a pound.
Yeah, I thought about that one. I'm the Mad Hatter getting fatter in for a pound.
Because I don't understand why the Mad Hatter, our narrator, would be getting fatter.
Well, I wonder if there's two possible interpretations, and I don't know that either of these is correct. Maybe this is the stereotypical, like, what? I had sex with you and now you're pregnant? Like, shock, anger, realization?
What's the fatness?
Well, I think that does tie to the pregnancy, but it could
okay.
also could tie to, once you've settled down with somebody, often people experience a weight gain.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking, and maybe that's right, because that will then lead us directly into Browning of the Green.
Yeah.
So it's our bit of connective tissue.
I wonder if it's a slippery slope. A slippery slope. It's a slippery soap.
It's slippery soap. Be careful.
Yeah. But it's also a slippery slope. You say, oh, well, I said hello, and so I better dance. Well, I've danced, so I'd better ask her out for some night air. Oh, well, I've done that, and then, well, we have a baby now, so we may as well get married. Oh, we're married now, so we may as well have a second kid. That's the concept of in for a penny, in for a pound. You keep investing in something,
right.
And then at a certain point, you're like, why in the hell did I invest in all this?
Yeah, why am I here?
Why am I here?
Yeah.
It's like that Devo song.
Whip it good.
No, same as it ever was.
That is Talking Heads, you fucking monster.
What do I think? What's the one that's like, you may ask yourself?
That's Same as it ever was, Talking Heads. David Byrne.
Same as it ever was, The Talking Heads by Devo.
Strange.
It's called Once in a Lifetime.
That's right.
Let me see if I can find.
As the days go by.
Wait, here we go.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the David Byrne Ian collab. Would be amazing if their egos would be able to handle it.
Uh-huh.
The studio might just implode like a black hole, though.
Yeah. It'd be like bringing two nuclei of two atoms to actually physically touch each other.
Yeah. Game over. Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah, exactly. No. Well, not just them. The entire universe.
I do think if we pull out and look at this from a remove, this idea of, well, we've invented tools, so we may as well make better tools.
Okay, yeah, and we might as well stop rambling. We might as well make a civilization.
We've invented steel, so we may as well use it to go to war with other groups of people. Oh, we've invented this technology that allows us to travel the world so quickly. Well, we may as well use that to our mercantile advantage.
Yeah.
That kind of paralleling the individual set of choices along with the choices of humanity as a whole throughout history.
Right, yeah. I mean, you can say right from the start, well, I'm a paramecium who has crawled up on land. I might as well invent the car,
Well, it's a couple of steps in the way. Yeah. But well, I'm in this far.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on land. I may as well evolve to live here.
Yeah.
And at some point we all have that moment of like, oh my God, why did we ever leave the oceans?
The whale.
I know.
Yeah, has for those of you not in the whale know, Omen, spill the beans.
Once upon a time, there was a whale. Okay, so what happened was animal life started in the sea, and then some things went on land. They evolved to have feet and breathe air and whatnot. And they were sort of resembled. There was one line that was sort of like kind of a big hippo-y type thing. And at some point, those animals went back into the sea. They continued their evolution from land back into the sea, and that's
Right.
where we get things like whales and dolphins, all the cetacea.
And we can tell by their skeletons because they have like back hips or something along those lines.
Right, things that you need for land. And I think we can also look at the
fossil record as well.
fossil records, and kind of see the track. But yeah, they had the right idea.
Yeah, let's get back in there.
Let's get out of here.
Until those mammals poison all the water, and then
And that's why we have space dolphins.
spalfins. You know, Lobo loves the space dolphins in the DC universe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are there space dolphins
There are,
in the DC
yeah.
universe?
Yep.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, really only in the Lobo stories, but like that's the only thing that he loves.
I enjoy Lobo.
He's a bit goofy, but of all the goofy characters, he's pretty enjoyable, yeah.
In for a pound. In for a pound. In for a pound.
I think we ought to just jump right into the browning of the green.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Let's listen.
Nick McGill.
Well, that was a bit of a pick-me-up, eh?
It was. Musically, there's a lot going on here.
Very busy.
And some of what we have here are we have some things that are completely new, and we have some musical themes that we have heard before.
Correct.
Why don't we start with the intro?
That intro, that guitar, until we get to that little minor note, sounds just like Fleetwood Mac's Go Your Own Way. It's identical.
Okay.
It's identical.
Yeah. Okay.
But other than that, so yeah, we get the guitar lead in, and then he hits like a little minor note, and then continues.
Yeah. I think he's going a half step up.
Oh, okay. But there's a little like he drops down or something. Let me just listen real quick. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He's raising one note a half tone, which gives it that
Yeah.
feeling. It's the same things like with the Jaws theme. Dee.
Oh, interesting.
It's that kind of raise produces that effect.
Yeah, so we start with that guitar, leads into flute, we get organ, we get drums. It all comes in pretty quick. That guitar is, what, 5-6 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just any organ.
Do we have our Hammond here?
I don't know what we have, but John O'Hara is creating some beautiful sounds that I don't think we have ever heard in a Tull song before. They somehow, when they're going through the book, they're like, oh, we've used 107, we've used 351, 352. We've never used that one. Put it in.
It's in John's handwriting is 352.
And it has it's that kind of spacey. Wow.
Spacey is exactly what I put in there. I said UFO-y.
It's like a sound that I would imagine they would use in the 1960s in a sci-fi movie. It's great. It fits so well in here because it automatically makes us think about like, oh yeah, well, what is going to happen in the future?
Yeah. He kind of
Really
goes
fun.
He goes pretty ham on this with the Hammond.
He goes
If it is
he goes
the Hammond.
beautiful pork on
Yes.
this.
And it's fun. The organ in this is a lot of fun, or synth, or whatever it is that he's knocking it out on. But it is fun, regardless.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
At 1:57, just where we hit that musical break, we go into the theme of Doggerland.
That's right.
Doggerland. That's only in my imagination, that part.
Yeah. But I'm glad you shared it.
Thank you. Ian is doing a lot of fun fluting, particularly in that section.
Mm-hmm. And then we get... Oh, no. Before that, it's the Turnpike Inn. It's the tune to the Turnpike Inn.
Right. That's the tune of the verses themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Exponential family planning.
Yeah.
Exponential family planning. Let me play the numbers game. Go no farther. Access denied. Down byways, freeways of the past.
And because of that, I always expect to hear Ryan join in on this song, but he doesn't in this one. It's a bit disappointing, a bit of a letdown.
Okay, we could have him.
I could deal with him in here, especially because Ian's like really pushing himself on this one in terms of height.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Interesting how the tune of the Turnpike Inn works with these lyrics. Obviously, these lyrics must have been written for the tune or somehow adjusted for it. But we do have that, instead of the Turnpike Inn, we have the other side. Suburbia.
Yeah, right.
Stake our claim.
Ian is so ruddy good at scansion. We know that by now, that he could really make anything fit.
So, really fun to listen to. I, again, love the moments in this album because it is so vast. And it is easy to get into the middle of a track and be like, have we been here before?
Yeah.
I don't recognize these mountains, but they kind of look familiar. Did we pass that tree already? Where are the compass is broken?
Hashtag not all mountains, Omen.
One of the most famous books to come out of, to be written by any Kurds in the last decade or so is called No Friend But the Mountain, which comes from the phrase in Kurdish, the Kurd has no friend but the mountain.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're a welcoming people.
Yeah. Well, everyone's trying to kill them, so in fairness.
Fair enough.
Except for the mountain. Only tries to kill them through its lack of knowledge about them because it's inanimate. Or is it? Anything else to say musically about this song, Nick?
No, I mean, for 4 minutes and being as busy as it is, it's pretty straightforward.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do we have any dates on either In for a Pound or The Browning of the Green?
We do. I was going to bring those up when we got into content. So let's get into content. So In for a Pound is 2013.
So current, contemporaneous with the writing of the album or the publishing of the album.
Right. And some would say maybe 9 months later, Browning of the Green is 2014.
Is it really?
It is, yeah.
That's really funny.
Which, a reminder, this album proper came out in 2014.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, that sheds new light on In for a Pound. It's almost like, well, I wrote one song. I may as well.
Right, exactly.
Write 14 more of them.
The song cost fallacy.
The song cost fallacy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, what do we have for dates for Chapter 14, Per Arietations ad Astra, and Chapter 15, Cold Dead Reckoning?
Per Erationes ad Astra is 2024.
LOL.
So a year ago, yeah. And then Cold Dead Reckoning is 2044.
In the year 4444, will they still have whores?
What is that from?
Oh, it's a song from the 1960s.
Oh.
In the year 2525, if mankind is still alive.
I think Futurama spoofs it. That's why I know it.
And if woman is alive, will they love? Let me find the actual thing here, if you give a shit. In the year 2525.
I have heard this.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Zager and Evans.
Wow.
Get that?
It's great stuff, great content.
Interesting. I kind of thought that these Revelations tracks would be spaced out further in terms of the dates associated with them, but quite interesting.
Well, these two, no, but I mean they're 10 and 20 chunks after that, so.
But not thousands of years.
Oh yes, right, because progress and change is happening so much more quickly. I think maybe.
Yeah.
You only need to jump forward a handful of years.
Well, that's an interesting point.
To have such a marked, poignant change that is worth commenting on in song.
Apparently, the world population in those years from 2013 until now has increased by 778 million people.
Oh my God.
It's actually less than I thought.
778 million?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that's a drop in the bucket.
We crossed the 8 billion mark in 2022.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. So, The Browning of the Green is such an amazing title because the green is so often a phrase associated with England in so many different texts. I know that we have referenced this to the point that you are probably sick of it, but I do want to point out that on these concrete fields of England, this blessed realm, this blessed place, feels very much like a reference to Richard II. And this blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England.
Yeah.
So I will spare you the entire speech. This royal throne of kings, this sceptered isle, this earth of majesty, the seat of Mars, etc.
I would not be surprised if there is a reference in there.
Well, I think there is.
Oh, then
because I think it's one of those things. Because he's referenced it before so many times.
Yeah,
that specific speech.
Yeah,
but also I think other people have referenced that speech, and that speech may be a reference to something else. That now it's just anytime you say green or pleasant or land,
yeah,
you're like, oh, you're probably talking about England.
Yeah, that's England, right? Yeah, I guess you got me.
And England is a very green place because it's very wet. It's warmed historically by the jet stream. And so it is an extremely fertile place. However, if you look at a time-lapse map of the last 100 years, you are going to see literally the concrete and the roads and the buildings spread outward, and it literally browns the green. I would say grays the green, maybe.
Yeah, I think the browning in this instance is like the houses, the roofs.
And the death of the plant life.
And the mud, yeah.
And the failure of a crop.
Mm-hmm.
In the metaphorical sense.
Yeah.
Exponential family planning, let me play the numbers game.
Exponential family planning, let me play the numbers game.
That's both Ian saying, here's what the song is about, and let's do some thought experiments.
Yeah, right.
But also, I think it's he could also be presenting a character.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about with this song, and population stuff in general, and people have very strong opinions about it. But there are some people who say, so the next line is, sign up for some benefits, get my due, and stake a claim.
Sign up for some benefits, get my dues, and stake a claim.
There are some people, both in America and in Britain, who say, well, people are only having children in order to reap the benefits.
My nephew's baby mama is one of those people.
Well, right, and there may be some people who do that.
But yes, yeah. It's a common povertist way of thinking. Pervertist way of thinking.
Tell me what you mean more.
It's easy to blame people who are victims of the system who have many children for any number of reasons that, they're just doing it to work the system.
Well, and we see that, all over American politics and have done for years, the idea of, what did people used to call them? Welfare queens.
Welfare queens,
that term that, took on a lot of political charge to say there are people who are intentionally and specifically benefiting off of the welfare system because they want to, because they're lazy and don't want to work.
Yeah.
So I think as soon as you bring up sign up for some benefits, get my dues and stake a claim, that's sort of the world that we're entering into.
Mm-hmm.
Spill out to suburbia, then spread onwards to the countryside, and when the last plot's taken, I'll spill out on to the other side.
Spill out to suburbia and spread onwards to the countrywide. And when the last plot's taken, I'll spill out onto the other side.
What's the other side?
The other side of the plot will continue to build. Will continue to expand even beyond the borders of what we expected to need to expand to.
Yeah. So in Ian's lifetime, I mean, he will have seen quite an extraordinary expansion of suburbia.
Sure, yeah.
And, I mean, it is crazy. You can see it almost anywhere in the world. Even in the short time that I've lived here in Orlando, there are places where new construction is going up where there was just a field before.
Yeah, right.
And people that I speak to who have grown up here were like, oh yeah, where you live used to just be cow pastures when I was a kid. And now it's, a pretty major thoroughfare with a lot of housing. And we're actually in a less densely populated area right where we are, because it was built in the 80s when they weren't trying to jam lots of people into a smaller space for profit. So then we get to the title of the song. In the song, it's the browning of the green. We'll be tight as canned sardine.
It's the browning of the green. We'll be tight as canned sardine.
Sardines.
I have consumed sardines, yes.
They're always laid head to tail.
They're packed as tight as they can be.
So that you can get more of them in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fairly common metaphor, right?
Yeah. Lemmings to the right and left of us, and all points in between.
Lemmings to the right and the left of us, and all points in between.
Legend has it that lemmings will get so overpopulous that they'll just fall into the sea, and if one lemming goes, then they all go.
They all just follow blindly, thanks to an apocryphal video by Disney from like the 50s, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Disney.
Thanks, Disney.
Thanks, lemmings.
Big lemming.
He wasn't a mouse after all. And I think that's not actually the case. They don't do that.
They don't. That would be insane.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, nature is pretty bonkers, but
very sensibly so.
But sensibly bonkers. Yeah.
It's the browning of the green.
It is.
Be fruitful, nothing to it. Fill the earth, subdue it. Nice rhyme. Multiply. It's written in that goodly book, so it's really best that I comply.
Be fruitful, nothing to it. Fill the earth, subdue it, multiply. It's written in that goodly book, so it's really best that I comply.
He is referring to
the Bible?
Genesis 1:28, and God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the seas and the bird of the skies, and over every other living thing that moves on the earth.
Right, so it's not my fault. God is telling me to do this.
Yeah.
God approves of my having, where is it? Is it later on where he talks about like having 17 or 7 or something like that?
Right.
Yeah. So it is at the behest of our Lord and Savior.
Well, at least our Lord.
Our Lord, yet to be determined whether Savior or not.
Right. Pre-Savior. Another baby booming bloomer. Imbecile fecundity. Another mouth, but what the hell, child benefits, they come for free.
Another baby booming bloomer. Imbecile fecundity. Another mouth, but what the hell, child benefits, they come for free.
I mean, it's really an amazing argument that he's woven here together. Like, all of the reasons why people have more kids than they can afford, or more kids than
makes sense to be had.
Yeah, I think we're kind of skirting around really the big philosophical argument here.
Eugenics?
That would be the solution
to this philosophical argument.
One of the proposed solutions to this argument. But, there is an argument that the world is, that the biological and social infrastructure of the world is unable to support the size of the population of humanity that it has.
Yeah.
A lot of that comes from an author called Garrett Hardin, who wrote a piece called The Tragedy of the Commons.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
And his big argument was, in the medieval time, the town park, the commons, was literally a common space where people would come and graze their sheep.
Okay.
Well, if you're a sensible capitalist and you want to have more sheep than everybody else, then you're going to get your sheep there and eat up all the grass, and everyone else's sheep will starve.
Oh.
So he proposed this image of the lifeboats, and that the West was the new Rome being overrun by population from other parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is underlined or underpinned with terribly racist beliefs and this idea that if the West wants to save itself, it has to not allow in this influx of people into our lifeboats.
Right.
Sort of, I'm reducing it quite a lot, but it basically says if we, quote unquote, want to have the resources that we need, quote unquote, then we should resort to things like eugenics, anti-immigration, mass extermination, etc. There is another argument. There is another philosophy that says that actually the world can support as many people as we currently have, and probably more. And what would be required would be a more equitable division of resources.
It could.
Guess how popular that is.
Yeah. They sound like talking points for two sides.
Yeah. Yes. Well, absolutely. And it really is interesting if you look at a lot of the arguments that are being had in politics, in religion, in economics, they really boil down to, are there too many people or are there not too many people?
Right. Yeah. And what can we extrapolate from that? And if you're a certain party, how can we scare people into
yes, exactly.
into voting for us? Yeah.
Exactly. So it all gets wrapped up with power and loses its basis.
Yeah.
But it's a real, existential question for humanity.
I mean, I think it ought to be, yeah. And Ian's been talking about it since 70, this Aqualung? Or no, 71.
Right.
Yeah.
And based on his experience, what I think, again, what he would have seen is these natural spaces that he values so much have been turned into ugly concrete slabs.
Yeah. One of the reasons why the old Chateau de Anderson was donated to the land trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My dad did something very similar with his property. There was a state grant to increase the wetlands area. So it already had a swamp. Mm-hmm. He had them build a berm, which created a pond, and then backed the swamp up so it expanded over a number of acres. And he had that officially designated as a wetlands area.
Nice. This is at the cabin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice.
Which means it can't ever be built on.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Smart man.
Yeah.
So then we get another recitation of the chorus and then the final verse.
A little boy, a little girl, quite perfect, but it won't suffice. Bouncing bairns upon my knees, 6 or 7 might be nice.
A little boy, a little girl, quite perfect, but it won't suffice. Bouncing bears upon my knee, 6 or 7 might be
Not the
nice.
inclusion of little Scots.
Little the bairns.
Yeah.
The wee bairns.
I do know that there are people who make a baby and then they're like, this has been an excellent experience. We should repeat this as many times as possible.
That's insane.
I don't understand that.
I can't fathom it.
But some people are into that.
Ray and I see babies now and we're like, oh, how cute. And then we're like, remember what it was like, though. We're seeing a baby on the street,
Yeah.
not with it 24/7 for the next 18 years. And we're like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Well, and also some of these things that Ian's talking about, the religious aspect are so deeply ingrained, the cultural aspect that, like, yes, you should have 10 children because that's going to increase your family's wealth, your holdings. Some of them are going to die.
Yeah, and it increases the Catholics. It increases the stakehold of that religion.
Or whichever one. But Catholics,
whichever one, yeah.
Particularly, I mean, again, in Ian's lifetime and as Tull was forming, the pill came out. The Antibabypillen, as they say in German.
It's amazing.
Birth control.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a huge Catholic resistance to it.
Of course, yeah. Spread the religion, have as many kids as possible to work on the farm,
Yes.
That is still present day in like the Amish. The Amish guy that we had that did our porches had a smattering of children.
A bevy. A beverage of children. He drank children for breakfast.
A child for lunch, child for breakfast, child for lunch, and then a sensible dinner.
Sensible dinner. And then a modest proposal.
Yes.
Come time to go with Daddy. Find ourselves some open playground space on these concrete fields of England, this blessed realm, this blessed space.
Come time to go with Daddy. Find ourselves some open playground space on these concrete fields of England, this blessed realm, this blessed place.
I must imagine, we've all seen the image of like, ooh, in the third world, like this mother has to go further every day to search for firewood. Mm-hmm. It's that image, but flipped into it's like every day this father has to take his kids further to find some fucking grass to play on.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny because England is so much better about public green space. The UK is so much better about, and Europe in general, than is the US.
Yeah.
Partly because space is more limited there already. And so there's a sense like, oh yeah, well, we have to actually set some aside. Whereas I think here, it's just like, well, I'll just put up another. We got space. Put up
another Walmart.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think there's also something ingrained culturally about the ancient history. I mean, that this whole album's about the ancient history that is the land you want to protect. This tree that's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. Yeah. But here our history goes back, 250 years, give or take.
Right. Right.
There's only so much that
in terms of European settlement,
where there's not nostalgia, where there's an emotional connection to the land and to the history that you have in this area.
Well, and kind of going back to what you were saying about, like, oh, we should have 10 children. If you think about the people, the human beings who would have been the subjects of Doggerland or Enter the Uninvited, I mean, like, procreation is a survival strategy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's an animalistic instinct, and it makes sense when you think about it that way. But our bodies and our instincts have not caught up yet to the level of technology and advancement that we are currently at.
Right? Yeah. My brain is made for picking berries in the dusk. And instead, I am scrolling sped up videos in Technicolor at insane rates.
Instead, I'm picking berries in Animal Crossing.
That's one of the more wholesome uses of technology.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay. Remember the line, this is off-piste, but remember the line, "Goodbye, Blackpool, we're going where the sun is guaranteed," in Old Blood, New Veins?
Yeah.
Last week, there was a couple from... So at the gym that I go to, very often we have people dropping in from out of town. And sometimes they're from Texas or California or Montana. But often they're from Germany or Poland. We had it's really fun. We had a couple from... Because they come in for conferences or to go to the parks. And they're like, we have to get our CrossFit in.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I forgot it was a CrossFit-specific gym. Yeah.
Right. I forgot it was a cult. But we had a couple from Manchester. And as soon as I saw them, I was like, they're English. But They're from Manchester, and we were chatting a little bit, and I said, "Oh, I have family in that area, and what are you doing here? Blah blah blah."
What are you doing here?
I said, by the way, have you ever been to Blackpool? Do people still go to Blackpool on holiday? And the guy was like, "Oh, you wouldn't want to go to Blackpool."
Ooh, gotten a bit shady, eh?
He was like, "It's not what it once was. You're not missing anything if you skip Blackpool." I was like, wow, okay.
As he's flipping a giant tire and
waving
ropes, yeah.
Blackpool makes me angry. I have to lift heavy weights. But it was interesting, to think of just how cities change and things change. And
sure.
Looking back on that used to be the place to go, and now that we have so much easier access to international travel, that couple is coming to Orlando, Florida, rather than going to Blackpool, and consequently, Blackpool is.
Yeah. That sweet, slightly nostalgic look that Ian has expressed in a couple of songs or hinted at is clearly not the case anymore.
It's different. It's probably changed quite a deal.
Yeah.
Quite a big deal. Quite a lot. Kind of a big deal. How much has changed?
Blackpool's kind of a big deal.
It was.
It was, yeah.
We end with, "It's the browning of the green, will be tight as canned sardine, lemmings to the right and left of us, and all points in between, it's the browning of the green."
Yep, one more recitation of the chorus. And yeah, that's that. Population growth, people deciding to actively have children or passively not deciding not to have children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the results of that and where to go from there. And then per Rationes ad Astra will take us possibly to a celestial solution.
Huh. Or a celestial new problem.
Fair enough. Its name is Elon Musk.
Ugh. So, you mentioned that Ian has been concerned about this for ages.
Mm-hmm.
Other artists have dealt with the topic of overpopulation. This immediately reminded me of an episode from the original series, the original Star Trek series. And as it turns out, this episode actually aired in 1969, the same year that Jethro Tull was founded.
And the moon landing, Tull was 68, but moon landing was 69.
Right. Oh, yeah, Tull was 68. But there's an episode called The Mark of Gideon. And the plot is that, and it's interesting how they shoot it, but the plot is that there's this planet that is so overpopulated that once you finally see what the real population looks like, they're like this.
So New York City.
Yeah, New York City. But everyone's wearing like lavender jumpsuits and things. And you see there's one woman who's transported to an area that's more spacious, and you see her like almost have this, is it agoraphobia? Because she's
being outside?
Yeah, it's like because she's surrounded suddenly by so much space, even though it's a normal sized room. Basically, the plot is that they are they're extremely pro-life, and they've gotten very good at medicine. And so there is no birth control, and very few people ever die.
Oh, that's very funny.
And actually, what the whole reason that Kirk encounters this woman is because they're experimenting on her. They want to see what happens if she comes into contact with an alien life form. Of course they kiss, because it's Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
And she almost immediately dies.
Really?
Yeah.
From the kiss?
Yeah, she's infected with Kirk's blood.
What kind of a kiss is that?
A normal one in the 1960s.
Oh, wow. No wonder they had so many kids.
It's something like just a normal thing. It's like some bacteria that we have that is totally normal for us. Oh, and the whole plot was they wanted to get a virus so that they could kill off a bunch of the population and stop everyone from living so goddamn long.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting episode. Great series.
Hmm.
So, Nick.
Omen.
what is it that we are talking about next week?
Well, as mentioned, we are talking chapter 14. We are starting the second half of the final part, Revelations. We are talking Per Erationes ad Astra.
Per Erationes ad Astra. And that is our semi-final track off of the album.
That's right.
We will finish up with Cold Dead Reckoning, perhaps my favorite song title.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
Until next week, I am as tight as a canned sardine. I'm Owen Thomas Sade.
I am fruitful. There's nothing to it. I'm Nick McGill.
Time to come with Daddy with the Feckless Momes.
And this is a dally with a little lady. Talk Tull to me.
Bart?
Stephen Delacroix?
Bart?
Oh my God! I can't
Holy
believe
crow, look at
after
you.
20 years, that's crazy. I heard you died a couple years back.
It was close. It was close, I'm not gonna lie. It is pretty dangerous with these open skies. You would not believe the kind of critters flying up in that air.
I can't believe everyone, well, not everybody, but a lot of us looked really, really good. You really got a lot of hair covering your skin.
Yeah. No, it gets cold here sometimes. So, I've grown it out. It keeps me warm. You
That's great.
are spotless.
Yeah. Here's what's crazy. After we graduated,
Yeah.
I went to college for a little while, dropped out, took a gap year,
Yeah.
Backpacked around Europe, and then I had this crazy thought, while I was in Berlin,
Okay.
at a rave.
Yeah, of course.
I thought, remember how we all used to live in the ocean before we evolved to live on land?
I was thinking about that the other day.
kindergarten.
Yeah.
I was like, man, if we could just go back, that'd be so cool.
You went back. You moved back in with your parents.
I actually moved back with my parents in the ocean.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, and everyone was like, oh, that's crazy. A mammal can't live in the ocean. You're not going to be able to breathe. And I kind of want to fight. I actually lost some friends over it.
Yeah, it's a bold stance.
Yeah.
And, not a lot of people like to live with their parents. They kind of like to separate from that. But you know what? Your parents have always been really nice. Tell Jim and Jan I say hi, by the way, please.
Jim and Jan Gill.
Yeah. Let them.
Named after their breathing apparatus.
Of course, naturally, Bobby Lung.
Yeah.
And it was a bold stance. I will give you that. But honestly, if you're happy with it, I'm proud. I'm proud for you. I'm happy for you.
Stephen, that means the world to me. There have been so many people who have left my life over this, and you always just accepted me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we fell out of touch.
I know. It must be going back into that ocean. Can I ask you a personal question, Bart?
Absolutely.
You have lungs, right?
Oh yeah. Kept the lungs.
How do you breathe?
Okay, so here's the secret.
Yeah.
Here's what nobody tells you about living the ocean.
Okay.
You can just hold your breath.
What?
I know. Here, wheel me over to the science room.
Okay.
Wheel my water pod over to the science room, and I'll draw you a sketch.
Splish, 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 splish.
I'll get somebody to clean that up. Okay, so here's the cool thing. Here's like my lung capacity when I started.
Okay, yeah. Tiny, like mine.
Tiny like yours.
Okay.
Yeah, no offense.
No,
You can hold your breath for probably a minute, right? If you try really hard.
if my heart isn't beating quickly, yes.
Yes, exactly. Well, and that's one of the benefits of living in the ocean. Calm, low blood pressure. Yeah. Don't have all the gravity you have to fight against to pump your blood.
Wow. Look at that.
And then slowly, I just practiced a little bit every day, and now, guess how long I can hold my breath?
I'm guessing 2 minutes, right?
No, 2 hours. I've been holding it this entire time.
What?
I haven't breathed once since I've been here.
You didn't need to.
No, I didn't mean to.
Wow.
And also Jamie Stinkerton this year.
Yeah, he took a different path as a mammal.
He did take a different path as a
Yeah,
mammal. Nope.
yeah.
Nope. He's standing on his front paws.
Jamie,
Oh my God! Let's
Jamie.
wheel me over that way. Let's go.
He always was very sensitive.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got another personal question though.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Listen, I'm very open about my marine status.
You didn't always have a hole in your head, right?
Okay. Yeah. That's gonna be. You know what? Do you want some whiskey? This is kind of
Yeah,
serious
sure.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, here you go.
Thank you.
It's seaweed whiskey. Made from sea barley.
Delicious. I love it.
Yeah. What was the question?
Did you always have a hole in your head?
So that's crazy. My surgeon was amazing. That's my nostrils.
Really?
I know, they started here,
Uh-huh.
and then it was a slow process. It was painful, but I feel amazing. I feel like more like myself than I ever have. It stretched, we just slowly moved the nostril a couple inches a week. Yeah, well, quite painful. Now it's up around here, and that way when I surface, I don't have to go like, I just put my head just barely there. Big lung,
Wow.
big exhale.
Yeah, you know, I don't think anyone knew that you got a nose job. That's really impressive. That's good work. That's good work.
Like I said, I've been touched by an angel.
Yeah,
what can I say?
clearly.
You should come visit.
Yeah, you know,
You would love it.
and it's been a while since I've seen my parents and everything.
The kelp forests, they're beautiful.
But I can't hold my breath for 2 hours.
You know what?
What? What is it?
I'd be willing. I've always liked you. I'd be willing to share my lung with you.
The hurt?
This is crazy. We're just, I got Steven, it's the whiskey talking, but I mean, let's do it. Let's run away to sea.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Through my blowhole.
You know what I've also heard about whales?
What's that?
Their song is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
You were always great in chorus.
Thank you. Well, oh my God, it's gotten so much better.
Wow.
All right, I'm going to sing a little bit for you. Okay, you kind of need the water for it to really translate.
Oh, okay.
But it's just gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. I have always wanted to hear it.
You can do it. You can leave all this. You can leave the bird attacks behind. You can leave the dry deserts behind. You can leave the burning sun, the snakes.
Bart, I'm sold. I will run away with you.
Let's go now.
Let's do it.
All you need is a pair of goggles
Okay.
and your favorite podcasts.
I've got an iPod shuffle fully loaded with all of the episodes of Talk Tull to Me.
That's like 3 years of episodes. That's enough time for you to learn how to breathe. That's going to be a great distraction.
That's fantastic.
Put it in a plastic baggie so it doesn't get wet.
Oh, zip? I just happen to have one right here.
Let's run away. We'll go tonight. We'll leave a message on the chalkboard, and they'll know that you're gone. And all we'll say is talk Tull to me. It's a proud member of the Fecus Momes Audio Network.
Oh, they'll be so confused, but so jealous.
I'm on my back.
Here I go.
Poor Steven.